So, good evening. It is good to be with you tonight. So, let me make a couple of changes really quick. There we go. Be a little larger on the screen so you can see me. There are a couple of things that we're going to be doing tonight. Mostly, we're going to be looking at Luke chapter 9. Chapters 9 through 16. I'm trying to get you ready for Bible Bowl tonight. Last week we covered chapters 1 through 8. Tonight we're covering chapters 9 through 16. Next week 17 through 24. And then we'll have a mock Bible Bowl on September the 15th. That will actually be in the auditorium at church. So we will live stream from the auditorium that night. And I need a couple of adult teams. So I need you to do a couple of things. One is if you can be on an adult team so we can take on the teenagers who are tonight at the building practicing for this, let me know so we can get you on a team. I'd really like to have maybe a couple of adult teams. I think maybe Jolton Church of Christ is going to come over and do the mock Bible Bowl with us that night. They usually do. But if we could have a couple of adult teams, that would be really great. So if you can help out with that, please let me know. I want to make sure I check. So you can put something in the chat box. You can call me. You can send me a text, send me an email, talk to Jeff, talk to Cheryl, just to let somebody know if you could possibly be on a Bible Bowl team for September the 15th. And we're also, Jeff told me today, we're going to have desserts after that. So if you can bring a dessert, if you can bring some cookies or a cake or pie or whatever you want to eat for dessert, you bring that and everybody else will eat what you want. But we're going to have desserts that night after Bible Bowl. So really looking forward to that. I really enjoy the Bible Bowl at September. It's the next Saturday. So I think that's the 18th. 15, 16, 17, 18. So it'll be Saturday the 18th. If you want to drive up to Cookeville and watch, usually they have seats you can sit and watch. I usually drive up and watch the Bible Bowl, see how all the kids at church do, and I really enjoy it. But I need adult teams. So if you can volunteer for that, please let me know. Hey, if you can't be here on the 15th when we have the Bible Bowl, the mock Bible Bowl that night, we will actually live stream from the auditorium that night. So if you want to just jump on, keep up with your own score, send us a text, let us know how you're doing, and we'll just keep up with it that way. But hopefully you can participate in that no matter how we decide to do it. We're going to go through some questions tonight. It's probably be a shorter class, okay? But simply because last week I had teens who were here and they kind of circulated through the office, and I asked them questions, had to give a few hints. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But this week it's just me, and to kind of prepare you for Bible Bowl, I'm going to ask about 30 questions. Keep score. Put in the text, the chat boxes how you do. Let me know how you do with this. No, it's not kind of really our usual Wednesday night type of class, but it's what we're going to do tonight. Try to get ready for the Bible Bowl the mock Bible Bowl on the 15th. I will tell you before we jump into these questions, last week's questions were probably easier than this week's questions. This week's questions, give credit where credit is due. These came from Jolton. Jeff sent them to me. They were compiled by Jackson. I don't think Jackson wrote all of the questions. I think he had other people write the questions. They're a little harder than what we used last week. I used those from another source. I did not sit down and write Bible Bowl questions. There are enough sources for Bible Bowl questions. I didn't need to do that. So these are a little bit harder, and I didn't ask all the questions that are on the sheet. We could have probably done 75 questions. I'm only going to do 30 tonight. And I picked some of the ones that I thought were harder anyway. So if you're an adult, which you should be if you're watching this, maybe some teens are watching this, but these will probably be pretty close to actual Bible Bowl questions. It's generally the way that Bible Bowl questions are asked. They're generally pretty hard. So we're just going to jump in. We're going to do about 30 questions. It might take It might take 15 minutes, might take 20 minutes, might take 30 minutes. I don't know. If you have a question about one of the questions, try to put that in the chat box. I will try to watch those and make sure that I keep up with the questions. If you have some, if you have a dispute, or if you think that I didn't do one right, I'll try to catch up with it there. Again, you're about 2 minutes behind me, so it'll take me a little bit to get to your question if it's out there, but I'll look at that before we finish up. So let me get back to the PowerPoint slide, and we will jump into these questions. All right, so first question, question number 1. Luke chapter 9, verse 1. Over what did Jesus give his 12 disciples power and authority? So Luke chapter 9, verse 1. Over what did Jesus give his 12 disciples power and authority? A, demons and to cure diseases. B, the towns in the region of their birth. And C, let me get my head out of the way, the 70 who began working with Jesus later. So Luke chapter 9, verse 1, what did Jesus give his 12 disciples power and authority over what? Demons and to cure diseases. B, the towns in the region of their birth. C, the 70 who began working with Jesus later. The correct answer to that one is A. He gave them power over demons and to cure diseases. If you remember, they came back rejoicing over that. So Luke chapter 9. Except for the first of these, I think I pretty much follow the text. So if you have a Bible and just start following along, you'll probably run across these. But it's better if you don't try to look them up as we do that. You can't have a Bible at Bible Bowl. By the way, there are 4 people on a team in Bible Bowl, so I am going to compete. So I'd like to have at least 7 other people so we can make 2 teams. The more teams, the merrier. I think the elders should make a team. So I am throwing that challenge out there. I think the elders should make their own team, for what it's worth. Okay, question number 2. Luke chapter 9, verse 58. Jesus said, the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, but A, eagles fly over the land and choose their nest with care. B, hens have nests and birds roost in the branches of the mustard tree. Or C, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests. Excuse me just a second. All right, so I think you probably know this one. I hope you know this one. This is kind of a common verse from Luke and Matthew and Mark. And the correct answer is C. Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. All right, so question number 3. We're going to move right along tonight. This will be a pretty short class, okay? Luke chapter 10, verse 13. What 2 cities would have repented? A typo in that. I just noticed. I copied and pasted that, but I should have still noticed the typo. What 2 cities would have repented if the mighty works done in Chorazin and Bethsaida had been done there? A, Corinth and Antioch. B, Sodom and Gomorrah. Or C, Tyre and Sidon. When you look at that question, that's somewhat of a kind of a hard question. I think most people would throw A out, so not Corinth and Antioch, Sodom and Gomorrah and Tyre and Sidon. And there's a lot of things about Sodom and Gomorrah, right, in their destruction. But the correct answer to this one is actually C. It is Tyre and Sidon. So let me check. Just trying to check chat boxes here to make sure there are not any questions. All right, so Tyre and Sidon, Luke chapter 10, verse 13. When you do Bible Bowl, it's very important to look at the verses. There are certain verses that say similar things, and it's always linked to a particular verse. All right, question number 4. Luke chapter 12, verse 6. How many sparrows can be bought for 2 copper coins? And the correct answer is either A, 10, B, 5, or C, 12? Luke chapter 12, verse 6. How many sparrows can be bought for 2 copper coins? A, 10, B, 5, or C, 12? To tell you the truth, I did not look these up as I went through it and check all of the answers, although I did put this together. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the correct answer to this one is B. It is 5. Yes, 5 sparrows can be bought for 2 copper coins. Copper coin, a very small amount of money, but it would purchase 5 sparrows. But remember that in the teaching of Jesus, God has his eye on every one of those sparrows. There's a great song about that as well, and I can't think of the title. Ronnie Price used to sing it all the time. Somebody knows the title to that song. Throw it in the chat box. It's just not coming to me right now. It's a great song about a sparrow, though. I think. All right, it'll come to me in a minute. All right, Luke chapter 13, verse 4. In what town did a tower kill 18? So the tower fell over and killed 18 people. Probably should have written that better. So it was a town that a tower fell and killed 18 people. And was it Siloam, A, B, Nazareth, or C, Jerusalem? All 3 very well-known cities in the New Testament, right? Well-known cities in the ministry of Jesus. But hopefully you got the correct answer, which would be A, Siloam, is where the tower fell. And remember, Jesus was drawing this comparison. Were they any worse than anyone else because they were a victim of a tragedy, of an accident? Check questions again. We're good there. By next week, by the way, I'll be a little better with this because I'm one computer screen short that we're going to get that taken care of so I can get everything where it's supposed to be again. Luke chapter 16, verse 28. This is question number 6. How many brothers did the rich man have? Now, Luke chapter 16 is the rich man and Lazarus, so it's the rich man who is in Hades. He was rich. Lazarus was a poor man. Not going to tell you too many other things about that. There may be another question. But it's that rich man that we're talking about. It's not the rich man who came to Jesus asking what he needed to do to inherit eternal life. So how many brothers did the rich man have? This is the rich man and Lazarus. A1, B5, or C7. 7's number of perfection, right? But it is not the correct answer for this particular one. It would be B5. There were 5 brothers. Remember, he wanted someone to go back and speak to his brothers. Again, I need to be closer to the microphone, or I could turn it up. So, okay, okay, so we'll go from there. Luke question number 7. Luke chapter 9, verses 7 through 9, who sought to see Jesus? I know there are a lot of people in the text who kind of sought to see Jesus, but this is Luke chapter 9. A, Herod the Pentarch, B, Herod the Tetrarch, or C, Pilate? Man, I don't know how you would look at that question. If I were to look at that question, I'd start analyzing. I'd say it'd probably be A or B, one, because he's listed twice. And it would be either A or B. Just giving you a little hint there. And it would be B, Herod the Tetrarch, over 4 provinces. So Herod the Tetrarch was seeking to see Jesus. And I can't tell you why, because I think it's another question. I think it's another question in here. And please, like Diane, if I'm not loud enough, let me know that. This is kind of a new setup. There's some adjustments we probably need to make. Sounds like turning the microphone up might be one of those. And I can do that. So if you run into issues with the live stream, please let me know. Let me check. Make sure there are not any questions. All right, his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches over me. Thank you. That is the name of that song. His eye is on the sparrow. Great song. Great song. Okay, question number 8. Luke chapter 9, verse 7, why was Herod the Tetrarch perplexed? So I'm glad I didn't go into that story. I would have probably given you the answer to this. A, because it was said by some that Jesus was risen from the dead. Another typo, sorry about that. B, because it was said that Elijah was risen from the dead. Or C, because it was said that John was risen from the dead. Get my head out of the way there. So the correct answer to this would be C. The reason he was perplexed is there is this thought that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and Herod had John the Baptist killed, if you remember that story. So he was perplexed and wanted to meet Jesus to see who Jesus really was. So question number 9, 30 questions. Where did Jesus feed the multitude in chapter 9? So Luke chapter 9, where did Jesus feed the multitude? Bethsaida, B, Bethany, or C, Jerusalem? Bethsaida, Bethany, or Jerusalem? To be very honest with you, I do not know the answer to this question. I am pretty sure I would guess between Bethsaida and Bethany, but I am very sure that it is Bethsaida. Okay, yes, A, Bethsaida. I'd had to think a little bit about that one. So he fed the multitude in chapter 9 in Bethsaida. So question number 10. We're about a third of the way through. Luke chapter 9, verse 17. After they ate and were filled, how much food did the disciples pick up? So after they ate and were filled, how much food did the disciples pick up? A, 5 baskets of leftover fragments. B, 7 baskets of leftover fragments. Or C, 12 baskets of leftover fragments. The correct answer would be C. There were 12 baskets of leftover fragments. I think one for each of the disciples. But that's speculation. The text doesn't say that, but that's what I think. Question number 11. Luke chapter 9, verse 49. Who said, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow us? Remember that all questions in Bible Bowl are from the New King James Version. So if you're studying for Bible Bowl, make sure you use the New King James Version, which is why we have forbade in that question. So the correct answer is either A, Peter, B, John, or C, Matthew. Okay, it doesn't sound like something Matthew would normally say, so I'd probably not C. It does sound like Peter, because Peter generally said things like that, but in this particular case, it was not Peter, it was John. The correct answer is B. It was John. All right. Luke, question number 12. Luke chapter 10, verse 15. What city did Jesus say would be brought down to Hades? A, Capernaum, B, Sodom, or C, Jerusalem? Now, he used Sodom and Gomorrah a lot as examples. That's not the case here. Jerusalem or Capernaum would be the two you'd need to choose between, and the correct answer would be A. It would be Capernaum. All right, so let me check questions again. Kylie says B. Kylie says 12. So Kylie is, I think she's doing well. I wish, Courtney, I could see the chat at the same time I'm asking the questions, but I can't do that because I'm missing the computer screen. But thank you, Courtney and Kylie, for joining in and giving questions and answering the questions. That's really cool. So glad you guys are tuning in. And so let me know how many she gets right. That's cool. That is cool. I'm hoping some of you watching on Facebook can probably interact with them. All right, next question. Question number 13. Luke chapter 10, verse 35. What did the Samaritan give the innkeeper the next day? So this is the Samaritan who, the parable of the Good Samaritan. He found the man on the road. He bandaged him up. He fixed his wounds. He took him to the innkeeper on the next day. So how much money did he give the innkeeper? Did he give him A, 2 denarii, B, 3 denarii, or C, 4 denarii? And the denarius was about a day's wage. So 2, 3, or 4. And the correct answer would be A. It would be 2 denarii that he gave. So hang on just a second. Let me try something here. Let me make this smaller. Make this over here smaller, if I can. Trying to make this small enough that I can see comments at the same time I'm doing this. And I can. And hello, right back at you, Courtney. Okay, so 2 denarii. Now I can kind of keep up, but I'm still 2 minutes ahead of you. But, okay. So question number 14. Luke chapter 11, verse 1. This is a quote. Lord, teach us to pray as blank also taught his disciples. And so would the answer be A, Jeremiah, B, Isaiah, or C, John? Lord, teach us to pray as somebody also taught his disciples, Jeremiah, Isaiah, or John. And the correct answer to that one, this is one of the more, the easier ones, I think. The correct answer would be John. I wonder sometimes if Andrew asked this question, since Andrew was a disciple of John, and was probably around John enough that John would have taught him to pray. Again, doesn't say who asked the questions. It says one of the disciples in one of the Gospels. I'm not sure what Luke says, but my speculation is that it was Andrew. Question number 15. This will be halfway through. Luke chapter 11, verse 11. If a son asks for bread from any father among you, will he give him A rock, B, stone, or C, snake? Now, this is kind of a tough question because it does mention snake in Luke chapter 11, verse 12. If he asks for, let me see if I can remember what it says. If he asks for something, will he give him a snake? That's not what if asked for a fish, will he give him a snake? So it's not snake because this one is bread. So it could be rock or stone, and they're very similar, right? So you just have to know what the King James uses for the translation there, which it uses a stone. So the correct answer is B, a stone. All right. Okay, so you're halfway through. Hope your scores are going well. We have 15 more questions. All right. Luke chapter 11, verse 15. Who is the ruler of the demons? Would that be A, Beelzebub, B, Lucifer, or C, Satan? Who is the ruler of the demons? And of course, Luke 11, verse 15. You have to really know that verse because all of these basically refer to the same being, right? So the correct answer is Beelzebub. So there you go, Beelzebub, A. And that, again, that's just down to knowing the verse and which word is used there. I think Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Satan all relate to the same being, just 3 different words, but only one is in Luke chapter 11, verse 15. So question 17, Luke chapter 11, verse 24. Where does an unclean spirit go? Where does an unclean spirit go through after leaving a man? Okay, King James, New King James language. A, the deep places. B, the dead places. Or C, the dry places. Where does an unclean spirit go through after leaving a man? A, the deep places. B, the dead places. Or C, the dry places. And the correct answer to that is C, the dry places. Maybe we can do a lesson on that sometime, but to be very honest with you, I don't really have a lot of knowledge of why a demon would go through the dry places of what Jesus is trying to, I got some ideas about what Jesus is trying to teach there, and I don't think it is just that demons can only exist in dry places. I think the point is Well, we'll do a class on that sometime. Um, be good. Luke, question number 18. Luke chapter 11, verse 29. Whose sign will be given to this generation? That would be the sign of Abraham, B, the sign of Elijah, or C, the sign of Jonah. Luke chapter 11, verse 29. Whose sign will be given to this generation? A, the sign of Abraham, B, the sign of Elijah, or C, the sign of Jonah. Hopefully you got that one right. It is C, the sign of Jonah. 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale. And question 19. Luke chapter 12, verse 6. How much are 5 sparrows sold for? Now, you should get this one because it's kind of a repeat of another question that we had before, just a little different. A, 4 copper coins, B, 3 copper coins, or C, 2 copper coins. How much are 5 sparrows sold for? So the correct answer, if we were paying attention earlier, would be C, 2 copper coins. Didn't really realize that was in there twice, phrased 2 different ways. So sorry about that, but maybe you got that one right, I hope. Question 20. Luke chapter 22, verse 24. What bird has neither storehouse nor barn? A, ravens, B, crows, C, doves. Luke 22, 24. What bird has neither storehouse nor barn? A, ravens, B, crows, C, doves. Remember, New King James Version. So the New King James Version word is the one that's going to be the right answer. And it's not doves, so I'll take that one out of the equation for you. It's either ravens or crows, and in the New King James Version, it is a raven. So that we have 10 questions left. So just hang in there, 10 more questions. If you're doing great, let me know. I got a note up there that says Kylie's doing great. So I hope the rest of you are doing great as well. Luke chapter 13, verse 7. How many years had the man been seeking fruit from the tree without finding any? Now, this is a parable Jesus taught about a man who planted a tree. He planted it properly. He fertilized it properly. It wasn't producing fruit. And he said, I've been coming these so many years trying to get fruit, and it's not bearing fruit, so cut it down. And they decided to wait 1 more year before they cut it down. So how many years had he been waiting? A, 2 years, B, 3 years, and C, 5 years. I'm giving you context to the question, by the way, and when you get asked the Bible Bowl question, you will not get any context. You will just get the question. But the correct answer to this one is B, 3 years that he had been coming and trying to get fruit off of the tree. All right, Luke, question 22. Luke chapter 13, verse 32. What did Jesus call Herod? A, a serpent, B, a hypocrite, or C, a fox? So in Luke chapter 13, verse 32, what did Jesus call Herod? A serpent, a hypocrite, or a fox? And the correct answer is C. He called him a fox. All right, let me check the messages over here to make sure we're still doing good. All right. Question 23, Luke chapter 14, verse 3. To whom did Jesus ask, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? A, the tax collectors and Pharisees. B, the lawyers and Pharisees. Or C, the Sadducees and Pharisees. That's a pretty tough question. So unless you've really read the text and you know exactly what it says in that verse, that's even a pretty hard one to guess if you do not know the answer. The answer is B. It was the lawyers and the Pharisees that Jesus asked if is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the account in the synagogue of the man with a withered hand. Now, you might look that up and see to make sure I'm not telling you wrong, but I think that is Luke chapter 14. Luke chapter, only 2 questions. Well, I think there's 30 questions. I don't know if I have 25 or 30 questions. We'll see in a minute. I think it's 30. Luke chapter 14, verse 12. Who does Jesus say you should not invite when you give a dinner? A, brothers, relatives, poor neighbors. B, friends, brothers, relatives. Or C, friends, sisters, and rich neighbors. So very similar list there. Again, you might have a hard time guessing with all of those. Correct answer is B. Don't invite your friends, brothers, or relatives. All right, question 25. In Luke chapter 15, verse 14, but when the son had spent all, and this is the prodigal son, by the way, Luke 15, you have the story of the prodigal son. What arose in that land so that he began to be in want? So this is after he spent all of his money. Was there A, a severe famine, B, a severe drought, or C, a severe plague? A famine, a drought, or a plague? And the correct answer is a famine. Remember, he went to feed, he was feeding the pigs. There's a severe famine in the land. All right, so we have 5 questions left. If you don't mind, somebody throw me a score up there. I won't call your name, okay, unless you want me to. And see how you're doing. See how you're doing. All right, question 26. I'll be a couple of questions before I get your scores. Luke chapter 16, verse 8. Why was the unjust steward commended? Why was the unjust steward commended? Because he dealt poorly, because he dealt rudely, or C, because he dealt shrewdly? Because he dealt poorly, A. B, because he dealt rudely. C, because he dealt shrewdly. Boy, that's a tongue twister when you put all that together. And the correct answer is C, because he dealt shrewdly. Boy, we need to go back and have a lesson on that parable too. A lot of great lessons in these that we'll have to go back and look at. So question 27, Luke chapter 16, verse 13. No servant can do what? A, hate and love his master. B, be loyal and despise his master. Or C, serve 2 masters. We're not asking which one of those might possibly be true. We are just asking in Luke chapter 16, verse 13, no servant can do what? What did Jesus say? A, hate and love his master. B, be loyal and despise his master. Or C, serve 2 masters. And the correct answer is C. No servant can serve 2 masters. You cannot serve both God and money. No name for this person, but I don't know which question that came out of. I think it was 26, but they're like 26 out of 26. That is really good. Really good. Another person is 23 out of 25. You guys, I need you on my Bible Bowl team. Maybe I need to get Kylie to do the live stream and just send her questions in. Maybe we could put her on my team. Question 28. Luke chapter 16, verse 17. What is easier than for 1 tittle of the law to fail? A, for heaven and earth to pass away. B, for Hades to freeze over. Or C, both A and B are correct. For heaven and earth to pass away, for Hades to freeze over, or both A and B are correct. The correct answer to that one is going to be A, for heaven and earth to pass away, than for 1 stroke of the pen to fail. Question 29. Two more questions. Luke chapter 16, verse 31, if they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded through. This question is about, remember the rich man asked Abraham, if somebody could go back and preach to his brothers. And this is the response. If they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though A, the prophets rise from the dead, B, David and Moses rise from the dead, or C, 1 rise from the dead. The correct answer to that is C, one rise from the dead, which I think is Jesus telling the parable about himself. If you don't believe in me, if you don't trust in me, even after my teaching and then after my death, my burial, and resurrection, if you do not believe that, you will not believe no matter what happens. So unless one rise from the dead. So last question, number 30. I put a really easy one in here for the last one, all right? Really, somebody sent me a text that says, hope God grades with a curve. Oh, that's great. He does. It's called grace. Luke chapter 6, verse 13. I hope everybody gets this right. How many disciples did Jesus name as apostles? A, 10, B, 12, or C, 72? How many disciples did Jesus name as apostles? A, 10, B, 12, or C, 72? And hopefully you got this one. The correct answer is B, 12. I'm not going to ask you to type the names of the 12 apostles in the chat box either. So, hey, I don't know how many you got right out of 30. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, we need a couple of adult teams for 2 Wednesday nights. Next Wednesday night, we will cover 17 through 24. So we'll cover the rest of the book of Luke. I know we can't get a lot of questions in there, and about 30 questions is probably honestly about as much attention span as I can probably get from you as well. So we'll probably do 30 questions again next week. Read 17 through 24. Be ready. Sunday morning. Hey, if you... all right, so throw me some scores up there. Got one person who got 30 right. So 30 out of 30. You know who you are. I need you on my Bible Bowl team. So I need you on my Bible Bowl team. So if you got a score, throw a score up there. Let me know how you did. Sunday morning we'll be live streaming Bible class at 9 o'clock. We'll be doing a chapter out of Luke. Still getting you ready for Bible Bowl. It'll be Luke, I think it's Luke, if I remember right, it's Luke 19 and 20. Okay, so we'll be covering Luke 19 and 20 Sunday morning for Bible class. The Sunday morning sermon, we're doing this series, Asking for a Friend. And the question, excuse me, that's been asked for Sunday morning is, who are the sons of God who took the daughters of men for their wives, and who are the Nephilim? So really, really interesting question. So tune in Sunday morning, 10 o'clock at worship time, and we will be talking about Genesis chapter 6 and the sons of God, the daughters of men, the Nephilim, and the Geborim. So we'll discuss that, and I'm looking forward to that. It's kind of a challenging sermon and a lot of different opinions on it, but I'll give you kind of the major opinions, and then I'll give you the one that I think that at least excuse me, that at least I think is right. So tune in for that. Looking forward to that on Sunday morning. And you can go to any of these websites, ClarksvilleHighwayChurch.com, GospelChariot.church, which is just my website where I throw the sermons on there. I'm intending to put some Bible classes and some blogs. Just haven't gotten around to it yet, okay? I'll get around to it. But GospelChariot.church, Facebook page, Clarksville Highway Church of Christ, or Gospel Chariot Church Facebook page. YouTube channel is called Gospel Chariot. You can live stream to any of those or from any of those. So tune in on Sunday morning. If you can't be here in person, please try to join us online if you can. Hey, thanks. That's the end of the slides, obviously, and don't have any other statements or questions or comments out here, but going to throw something in the chat box. So I'm going to say hi to Courtney and Kylie. Glad that they are tuning in. And hey, thanks for joining in. And we will see you again live streaming Sunday morning and again next Wednesday night. I hope you have a great evening. And please, please try to say... try to stay safe and safe and healthy. And good night.